All right. Well, hey, if you're going to break out of a home run slump, hitting a grand slam to pretty much ice the game is one way to do it. Welcome back, folks. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. And we are talking about the New York Yankees falling a 5-4 victory over the rival Red Sox to take 2 games in the series. Hopefully, they take 2 more and sweep them. First time in a long time, the Yankees have 3 games up on the Orioles in the AL East. Actually, it's the first time since June 14th, to be exact. So huge stuff there. We're going to get into it. We're going to be talking about Aaron Judge. We'll be talking about Jasson Dominguez. We'll be talking about Stroman heading the bullpen. Luke Weaver, who was literally possessed tonight, 5 strikeouts and a 2-inning save. So, Gary, a lot of good things. Before we do, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow us on all social media at JK Bogan, at Gary Sheffield Jr. That includes Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. I remembered. So how about that? So, yeah. Also, I'm trying to remember everything now. Also, do not forget, this is on audio podcast platforms, all of them. You just search Yankees Unloaded, or you can just click the link below, which is a lot easier. We also have a community Discord. So the server essentially is a 24/7 Yankees chat. And man, is it active. So definitely check that out. We have 59 members. We're growing every day. You also get push notifications anytime we drop a video.
It's like Twitter with less losers.
I love the way you said that. And the last thing is, if you want to become a member, you want to have access to field level and be able to leave mailbags that make it onto the show, you can hit the membership button below. Link is in the description, comment section. And of course, you can hit the join button. If you don't see the join button, hit the link. All right. That was a lot. Shout out new member, by the way, Walter Seastrand, second deck. Appreciate you. All right. We'll get to field level shout outs at the end of the show, because I guess I'll just do them now since I already just ran through everything. We're just on a roll. Juan Cepeda, appreciate you. Kid from LI, Carlos Marrero, Jeff J, Ed W, Brian Fuchs, Ryan Hoffman, Rich Squires, Joshua Halleckman, Egyptian Magician, Nick Gomes, Jalen Sestero, JT Roberts, and Mickey G. All right. Woo. Gary, how about that win? How about that win?
First of all, I went on a rant about 5 or 6 days ago, and we've talked plenty, right? We've given a lot of credit to Aaron Judge, 52 homers, right? He's driven on 130 at this point. Yeah. So this is an MVP season now. And when we had that episode talking about whether or not the door could open, right, between Witt Jr. and Aaron Judge, a lot of people, they read the title of that show and they didn't necessarily watch the show, it seems like, because we even said Aaron Judge is probably going to win this MVP. And we also said our expectation is that those numbers that we illustrated on that show about high leverage situations, right, versus medium and low. A lot of Aaron Judge's performance this year has come in low leverage situations, and that's okay, right? A lot of baseball players in the big leagues, they play most of the baseball during the regular season in low leverage situations. But Aaron Judge hasn't been a great player in high leverage. He hasn't been a great player in October. And when you get into the 8th or 9th inning, and you need Aaron Judge to come through, it feels like he hasn't been Aaron Judge. It feels like he hasn't been himself. Today was exactly what we needed. Exactly what you're talking about. When 99 comes up, he needs to be the player you're hoping to step up to the plate. And right now, before it was almost hope. Well, I hope Judge can come through in this situation, as opposed to what we think about him innings 1 through 7. So now I feel like this was a really good test because, Jake, remember yesterday I actually mentioned September can be viewed as postseason baseball given where you are in the standings. If you're talking about a team that has to outrun Baltimore, a lot of these games are going to be played like postseason games. Boston's fighting for a wild card. Well, you're going to get that postseason feel. The stadium's going to be full. And when you get to the 8th and 9th inning in a clutch situation, bases loaded, it's good practice for October. Aaron Judge got his postseason practice today. It's a good thing. Now, it's not the same, but it is good practice. So I was happy to see it.
No, I was really happy to see it as well. And by the way, in case anybody was wondering, it's not super likely. We're talking 11 points here, but 11 points is not bad. He's 11 points away from a Triple Crown lead. Bobby Witt Jr., 332. Aaron Judge, 321. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 320. Hats off to Vladdy Guerrero Jr.
John Smoltz wasn't going to bring that up. I promise you that.
No. John Smoltz, he was probably very upset. Although we didn't hear him today, and to be honest with you, I kind of missed that broadcast based on today. I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, I didn't like the broadcast today.
And we're off to the catcher's view. I don't know. We'll touch on it real quick here. The catcher's view was an abomination. And the worst part about it, Apple TV, we'll only touch on it here for a couple seconds. Yeah. Apple TV decided, they very clearly knew, right? So somebody knew baseball in the media room. They said, hey, Timmy, what's the most likely pitch that's going to be put in play? Let's wait for it to be 3-1 or 3-2. And in a pitch where there's going to be action, let's just kick it to the catcher's view. That way people can just look through a little tube sideways like this
and then just
try and watch baseball. We watched Jazz Chisholm hit a ball with a 3-ball count and a fastball count, and we had no idea what was happening. No clue.
And they're like, oh, it's deep. And it was caught. And you're like, oh, yeah, that was really deep. No, I agree with you because the catcher's view is a brilliant idea after the play. Love it. If I get to see it after the play, that's cool. I also don't need to see it every batter, but if you want to throw it in there every now and then, catcher's view should be just considered B-roll. This is a production. A lot of people seem to forget that. These are productions. Okay. A lot goes into a broadcast. So because of that, I have no issue with the catcher's view. I have an issue with the catcher's view in the middle of the at-bat. That's what I have an issue with. That's what anybody had an issue with. So I can't believe we're even talking about this. I don't think we, woke up, this morning and we're like, catcher's view is going to bother us. No, I didn't even know it existed. And then all of a sudden we're like you said, whoop, through a little tube. It's like, oh, I didn't know we paused the menu on MLB The Show and changed the view for I think
they just fell in love with the College World Series thing. And College World Series is seen as a little bit more fun. It's not necessarily functional, right? And we can live with it. We can. But you're talking about Major League Baseball and games that are huge for both sides. I'm not trying to look through a little camera on the umpire's chest. I'm not trying to see that. That's just not anything.
You're not trying to see his hand when he does that?
No, I don't think actually anyone was interested in it. Okay. I think most of us were interested in seeing what was actually happening on the field. And I could tell you right now, I played a lot of baseball. Obviously, I stood in a batter's box a lot growing up. And no part of me felt like I learned anything looking at that view. It didn't help me at all. So I guess we'll leave it there. It was awful. I think everybody wants it abolished, change. I can pass away in 50 years having never seen catcher's view ever again.
Wow. You really gave it to the catcher's view. I'm going to look right now just because I need to know. And I'm going to hope. Tomorrow's on Yes Network, right?
I don't know.
It is. Yeah, it looks like it's on Yes. Thank God.
It's a day game.
But it's a day game. So,
yeah.
Hope you eat your Wheaties in time or forget about that. Just get up. You're like, yeah, I'm going to get up in the 4th inning.
I've got a newborn. I'm going to be waking up at noon. By the time I even get out of bed and brush my teeth, Yankees are going to be on. And we've got a 3-game win streak. I think this is one of the first times. I don't even know the last time we won 3 games in a row, to be quite honest.
It feels like it's been a while. Every time they get to 2, we're like, oh, they're turning a corner, and then they lose. And it's like, and to be honest with you, they've won games that they didn't deserve to win. I didn't think they outplayed Boston in this game at all.
No. Well, I mean, you face somebody who was a replacement, right? You faced a guy who was a replacement on the mound. Now, I completely understand not being ready in maybe the 1st or 2nd inning, in large part because you're not game planning. A lot goes into who you're facing that day. People probably don't really think about this, but when you show up to the yard, teams know, okay, I'm facing this guy. Yeah. They're going to be looking at that during batting practice. They're looking at video footage, right? All types of recordings of previous at-bats they've had against this player. And you have this, right? You're trying to visualize what's happening on the field and who you'll be facing. And then all of a sudden Fitz takes them out. Okay. That changes things. So that doesn't give you the excuse to allow him to go 5 innings of shutout baseball with 2 hits, right? But a happy middle ground there. If the Yankees got a happy middle ground, I mean, this is a much easier game than what it was. Now, we're not going to complain about that. The Yankees punched back, and that's something a lot of our audience has complained about. And frankly, so have we. this Yankees team, when they fall behind, it seems like they don't necessarily get up, right? In large part, when you don't get a starting pitcher who gives you length and pitches really well early in the game, it feels like the Yankees are almost out of the game right away. And I guess you can probably say that's the story for a lot of teams in baseball, but maybe not as much as for the Yankees. So I guess where I'm at, Aaron Judge saved the day. He did. He absolutely saved the day. And for a baseball team that everyone used to describe as Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, if you've watched the Yankees this past 2 weeks, it hasn't been that at all. It hasn't. So very happy to see it.
Is that a blessing in disguise, Gary, that it hasn't been, because it's forced the Yankees' hand to get more production out of a Gleyber Torres, out of a Jazz Chisholm, out of Stanton. Rizzo had 2 hits today. Rizzo watched the podcast clearly because he was like, well, hold on. Don't throw me under the bus quite yet. I'm not done.
You know what I think it forced? It's a good question. I think Gleyber Torres is really the player we're looking for right now. Stanton hasn't really done much. Wow.
Wells and Torres, I would say.
Yes, those two, specifically Gleyber Torres, because when Gleyber Torres got back in a leadoff spot, he's established himself as a guy who's a 250 hitter now, where, again, his ops is still below league average. People were talking about in the comment section of our last show, and I think this is a good point to bring up, and I want to make sure people feel heard in our audience. They actually mentioned that Gleyber Torres, and this is true, is hitting 250. His ops isn't that much higher than Anthony Volpe's. And what I try to remind people is role. What is your role with this baseball team? And when we move Anthony Volpe to the leadoff spot, right? And we just talked about how Gleyber Torres is playing so well. What we're actually talking about is his ability to get on base, to do the task we're asking of you. His job is to reach first base, and that is it. If you hit a home run, awesome. He did that the other day. Groovy. Good for you. But guess what? Gleyber Torres' on base percentage the last 30 games is about 400. At no point this season was Anthony Volpe's on base percentage for that extended period of time 400. So objectively speaking, Gleyber Torres may be hitting 250. His ops may be below league average, but his on base is all we care about right now. It is. Now, you might want a better player, and that's totally fine. But remember, these guys have roles. The Yankees have lost in the postseason in large part, in my opinion, due to the inability to get into role. Everyone's trying to play the same role. You can only have so many Denzel Washingtons in a movie. You need role guys, right? You need supporting cast, a supporting actor. You need it. And the Yankees, seemingly this past 6 or 7 years, have thrown out a bunch of 4 and 5 hitters trying to hit homers and be the, they want to put the cape on, per se. Well, guess what, guys? Only about, I would say, 3 players on this roster have the ability to put a team on their back in a postseason series. The rest of these guys, you need to fit in where you get in. That's where I'm at.
I'm with you. By the way, by you saying groovy actually jogged my memory. I have my movie. I'll just leave it at that. You've probably never seen it before, but
is it the live action Scooby-Doo?
No. This isn't for kids.
Cool.
But yeah, so I agree with you. And, I think when you look at Aaron Judge, the big thing moving forward is postseason. And all I'm focused on is can he hit in the postseason? Because the good news is we're seeing the Yankees winning games they shouldn't win. I mean, you could argue the last 3 games you could argue they could have lost all 3. So I watched, Clarke Schmidt today. He looks great. Offense is anemic. They don't score until Gleyber scores in the 7th. He singles to left, knocks in Volpe. Then after that, not long after that, Judge, he gets Soto to walk and comes up with the bases loaded, and they have to pitch to him. Are you going to take the run? Maybe in hindsight you would take the run. You would walk him. But then it's like you walk him and then you bring up one of the hottest hitters in the league, Austin Wells. The hottest hitting catcher by far. So take your pick. And I guess really what I'm getting at here is The Yankees offense, if Aaron Judge is hitting and Soto's hitting and Torres is hitting and Wells is hitting, I think you're four best. I got to give Aaron Boone credit. He literally has his four best hitters in the 1 through 4 spot. Now, Jazz Chisholm is where the lineup has a chance to absolutely explode, because you get into Jazz Chisholm, you get to Stanton, you get to Dominguez, and these are guys that maybe you're not expecting. Because Jasson Dominguez, am I expecting him to go out there and be one of the best hitters on the team? No. You know why? Because of today, and we're going to get into it.
Oh, do you want me to introduce this? Because I will.
Yeah, you should.
Okay. Well, before I actually just get into opinion and just start rattling off my thoughts. Yeah, it's perfect. So let's just go ahead and go right into an article, because we don't want to use information that's not ours. We're going to use Brian Cashman's exact words. I think that's fitting here.
Yeah.
If he comes to the big leagues, he's got to play every day, Brian Cashman said about Dominguez. Huh. Isn't that interesting? That's on Yahoo Sports. Seems pretty official, right? And that's on Sports Illustrated. It's on USA Today. And this is reported by Andy Martino, right? So where I'm at with this is that we've talked about it before, is that the Yankees will give us a bit of information and then they want us to figure out, right? Read the tea leaves and figure out what's happening in the future, right? What to expect. If Jasson Dominguez gets called up to Major League Baseball, Brian Cashman has told us we're not going to call him up unless he's going to play every day. But there's also a catch here. It's somewhere in the details of these articles, is that Brian Cashman has also stated we're not necessarily as comfortable as we'd like to be with Jasson Dominguez as a right-handed hitter. Now, this is against left-handed pitching. Totally understandable. This isn't a large sample size, but in general, Jasson Dominguez hasn't played well at the minor league level against left-handed pitching. But you know who they weren't facing today? A left-handed pitcher.
I know.
So what I'm trying to understand is that the word almost is in this article, almost every day, right? Mm-hmm. So implying we can sit him when we please. We can give him a day. I actually saw that in the comments today. Well, the Yankees won, so I'm okay with them giving him a day.
There's I don't even want to hear that anymore.
Giving him a day. Jasson Dominguez is a player that has come up here. He faced Skubal essentially in a one game, and then we told him he's leaving, right? You're going back down to the minor leagues. Then we call him back up. He faces a lefty, okay? Again, doesn't play well. Then yesterday, he hits the hardest baseball of the entire game, okay? Hardest baseball all day. Today, he faces a right-handed pitcher. Based on the article, not my opinion, he should have played today. And yet, the Yankees didn't do that. Why? Because Aaron Boone has told us, I make the lineups. That's what he told us. Brian Cashman's here saying, I'm only going to call him up if he's going to play every day. Well, do you make the lineups? Or does Aaron Boone make the lineups? Because I'm trying to figure this out myself. Now, if you ask me, I feel like someone else other than Aaron Boone is having an impact on these lineups, because you cannot tell me Brian Cashman can get up here, say this in the media, and he has no authority about Jasson Dominguez playing. Why would you say this? I'm not going to call him up. Is Aaron Boone really thinking that Alex Verdugo is a better opportunity for the Yankees in left field than Jasson Dominguez? Because if so, I'm worried. I am worried, because to win a World Series, these type of decisions, you can just imply they should never happen. Could you imagine in a postseason series this happening? You couldn't, could you? Alex Verdugo is playing left field and Jasson Dominguez is wearing a hoodie.
Aaron Boone's, his explanation for this, and I sent it to you, and it was, quote, that gives me 2 in a row with Alex Verdugo, and yet it keeps me 4 or 5 with Dominguez. It's just wanting to keep guys active and playing and in a rhythm. I mean, what? What does that even mean? How do you get in a rhythm?
How do you get in a rhythm, Jake? Wouldn't you imply that if somebody's in a rhythm, they have some form of long-term success? Like, for example, a 3-point shooter in the NBA. You wouldn't just say, oh, it's opening night. in the NBA. LeBron James kicks it to the corner. Kyle Korver hits 4 threes. You wouldn't just show up to game 2 and go, Kyle's in a rhythm. No, it's game 2 of the season. We just said the Yankees have 15 games to the end of the regular season. Rhythm? The only way that a young player is going to get a rhythm is by playing every day, to Brian Cashman's point. So if the Yankees had sat Dominguez because they saw a lefty today, I probably wouldn't agree with it, but I wouldn't be up in arms. I wouldn't. I would just say, okay, the Yankees clearly believe in splits more than I do. And I can live with that information because they're just making a decision I don't agree with. But they're just telling us information and then doing the opposite. So there's no reason for me technically to read this article. Technically speaking, if Brian Cashman gives us some word salad, we should essentially just ignore it and just guess what we think he'll really do. That's actually what this tells me.
I mean, Gary, he's played one of the last 3 days.
Rhythm.
But what does he say? And of course, I got some dickhead in the comment section because I commented below it and I was like, he makes a very simple concept way more complicated. And then of course, you know how Twitter is, you know how everyone has to be just an asshole for no reason. He commented on mine and he was like, not a surprise you think what he said is complicated. So you don't think that's complicated? You don't think that gives me 2 in a row with Verdugo, yet it gives me 4 or 5 with Dominguez? That's English? What the hell does that mean?
I actually have no idea what it means. I was actually going to ask you to explain it to me because when he talks about rhythm, how is there a player how old is Jasson Dominguez? Just to be clear, is he 22?
He's 21.
He's 21 years old. Okay. What player in Major League Baseball at age 21 is playing part-time in mid to late September? Okay. 15 games left in the year. Which player has ever made an impact in the postseason? Having done that, having split time with a player that most people would describe as a failing baseball player. Which Major League Baseball team of all the teams, I'm not just saying the Yankees, which team across the league has ever sat their top prospect situationally behind a bad baseball player? This year, Alex Verdugo, you can describe him in years past as wildly inconsistent, but I would never say he's a bad baseball player. In 2024, Alex Verdugo is a bad baseball player. Why is he playing ever over Jasson Dominguez? If you've got lefty splits, like for example, yesterday, we were seeing a situation actually 2 days ago where a lefty, I can't remember what his name was, where we were like, okay, he's got reverse splits, lefty on lefty. And if you wanted to throw Verdugo in there, the numbers suggest, yeah, I understand why you would throw another lefty bat out there. Maybe it'll help. What's the excuse here? What does Aaron Boone actually think I'm supposed to do with this information? In my opinion, I just feel like I'm just being gaslit to the highest degree. We're just wasting time. We are.
I mean, our intelligence is dropping slowly every time we read these quotes. That's not even English. It's just wanting to keep guys active in playing and in rhythm. No, it's not. You basically told me you're focusing on Alex Verdugo to have 2 days in a row. And you're saying Jason, and another thing, stop calling Jasson Dominguez a switch hitter because we know he's a left-hand hitter. I've never seen him hit a home run for the right side ever. I'm sorry, I've never seen it. And furthermore, Gary, even if that's, whatever, that's the case and all that, they're not even playing him against a righty. They're not playing him against a righty like Fitz. I mean, I know Fitz pitched well today, but the assumption going into this was, oh, he's making his major league debut. They're going to eat him alive. This is just so spur of the moment because Tanner Houck was supposed to pitch. And then they're like, they rule him out right before the game, which I never see. I don't know why more teams don't do that, by the way, because that has to throw off the game plan. But I just feel like when it comes to Jasson Dominguez, Gary, I mean, he doesn't turn 22 until February. We shouldn't even be shocked because he babies Austin Wells, who's 25. So it's like, why should we be shocked that he's babying a guy that was just called up? I feel like he's not understanding, and I thought he was, and that's the thing that's frustrating. And I understand they won today, and we gave plenty of love to the win. This is an important topic, and we have to cover it objectively. Okay. It does not matter if we're Dominguez fans or not. You said, one, we're calling him up. He's going to play every day or almost every day. And two, your big thing was that when there's lefties, you've already shown us you'd go with Alex Verdugo over him. Well, today was a righty, and you didn't go with Jasson Dominguez. And my question for you is, looking at how close the AL East is, why are you treating it like you have 20-game lead on the next team? Why? Because this has been the Yankees. This has been Aaron Boone's managing the whole year, is that he's treating it like the Yankees have this in the bag. I know they have 3 games up on the Orioles, but guess what? They have 3 games against the Orioles. I could go like that. So we're going to be at one of those games. So, Gary, my point is that it's a very lackadaisical, in my opinion, to have this approach of, yeah, we're going to give him a day. We're going to give him a day. Didn't want to do it with Judge. So that was another thing. Aaron Boone said that Dominguez will be back in the lineup tomorrow when Aaron Judge gets a DH day.
You know what it seems like, Jake? It seems like, okay, I don't think I've said this before on the show. I believe that Aaron Boone sees it as a win to play a key contributor, right? To sit a key contributor, okay? Hang with me here. You have a player that everyone wants to play, that everybody knows has to stay healthy in October. They've got to be there in October. I think Aaron Boone sees sitting a key contributor and then winning the game as the best thing that can happen. That's what I believe. I believe that they treat the lineup like something that, let's build the best lineup we can while maintaining full capacity to stay healthy. Take no risks, right? That's what I believe that they do. And that's a shame. It really is. And I also think the reason Alex Verdugo is actually in the lineup, I think very similarly to a lot of players that we've seen in baseball with the Yankees need to be right about situations where the fans are all on one side on something.
He's right on that, by the way. Gary is absolutely right on that because Leiter Jr. That's all you need to know. Mark Leiter Jr. is no different than Aniel De Los Santos. He's no different.
Is he better at anything?
Because here's the thing, right? Aniel De Los Santos was left out there to give up 7-8 runs.
Yes.
Mark Leiter Jr. gets taken out after he gives up 2 or 3. He doesn't get an opportunity to give up 7 or 8 runs.
Did get the win today,
I wonder if he's worse than De Los Santos, to be honest with you. I genuinely wonder that because I swear this guy, I know he got the win. Baseball's dumb. We've said it so many times. Baseball's stupid. I mean, he gets the win pitching 1 1/3, giving up 3 hits, 2 earned runs. He had 2 strikeouts. And remember what the thumbnail was when we talked about him, when they got him, strikeout machine. So he's been a strikeout machine, but he's terrible. He's always getting bashed. It's like, it concerns me, Gary, because why is he still on the roster? If he's still on the roster, what does that say? Are they planning on using him in the postseason? That'd be horrifying. Can you imagine that? Oh, the Yankees are in neck and neck battle against the Astros here in the ALCS. They're going to bring in Mark Leiter Jr. against Jose Altuve.
No, there's no way that he would pitch in a big situation.
Window.
You know the good thing though here, and so this is the way I'm sure Boone would describe it to us if he was sitting right in front of us. We would ask him, so what's the meaning of this Dominguez thing? You know what he'd probably tell you guys? He'd probably say, we've got a big series up against Seattle coming up this week. And so we know we're going to be facing postseason pitching, right? Our audience has talked all day long. Oh, the Yankees against October pitching, right? October quality pitching. Seattle's got the best rotation in baseball, and it's not close. They just can't score. That's why they're a 500 baseball team. But it's a good test for the Yankees. The Yankees are going to need to throw out their A lineup if they want to win those games. Because otherwise, you're talking about a Seattle team where every game is going to be 1-0 and 2-1. Well, the best way to split a series or lose a series, if you're the Yankees, is to go out and put like an Alex Verdugo out there against some of Seattle's arms. So Boone would probably tell you sitting Dominguez today increases the odds we see Dominguez every game against Seattle. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily believe that. I don't.
I just think
I don't
it's
believe
dumb.
it'll work out that way.
He should be in every single game. He's the better hitter than Alex Verdugo. He offers more upside. He gives you more athleticism. And the reality is these games matter as much as the next. And so I'm just saying, I'm looking at this like, are you kidding me right now? Boston's in the fight of their life. They're not an easy opponent. Are you like, for real? They're 74-74. It's not likely they're going to make the playoffs, but they're trying to.
They're fighting for a wild card.
They're still trying to. And,
yeah,
you know, the Yankees, fun fact, actually took the lead in the series for the year. After that awful run where they lost a bunch of those games to the Red Sox, it felt like they had no chance. They're now up 6-5 in the series. We'll find out who wins the next two games. If the Yankees win the next game, they win the season series. Not that it matters. You don't get like a trophy or anything. But, you know, that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I mean, I think Jasson Dominguez, if he's not in the lineup tomorrow, I don't even know what is going to happen, but it's not going to be good.
Oh, he will be. It's a right-hander. There's no way he doesn't play. But let me say this about tomorrow, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the biggest start in 2024 for Garrett Cole, and I don't even think it's close, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, yeah.
Garrett Cole is obviously trending in the right direction, right? We're starting to see the strikeouts pile up, but the most important thing, Rafael Devers is in his way, right?
Yeah.
But here's another thing. Boston has just had Garrett Cole's number, period. So if Garrett Cole can get over this test, if he can get through this, there is nothing that Garrett Cole can see that he would fail. That's the way I look at this start. And I understand people are looking at this. You look at the ERAs, you see Bello at 470. This is a pitcher that is wild. He strikes out a lot of guys, but in general, the Yankees should be able to handle this. No problem. So having said that, tomorrow is about Garrett Cole. If he goes out, you just avoid Rafael Devers. Much easier said than done. Obviously, Garrett Cole's shown he continues to attack him. No idea why, right? We don't know. So pitch this game like it's a postseason game. Boston's going to. If Garrett Cole can win this game, if he can dominate this game, stay away from Devers, I believe the Yankees can run away with the division. But in order for that to happen, Garrett Cole's got to be Garrett Cole. And at the very least, based on what we've seen the last several weeks, you can expect this is the best opportunity he's ever had to dominate Boston. And frankly, every time he faces Boston, don't you just get that pit in your stomach that he's going to revert back to, like, almost like he's afraid of this team? I don't know what it is. I'm sure that's not it, because there's more than just being afraid to just pitching well. But I don't know. It's a big game. It is.
No, it absolutely is. Brian Bello, for those of you who are interested, he's 2-3 against the Yankees with an ERA of 2.66, 34 strikeouts and 7 appearances. So that's something to keep in mind. He's had, he's pitched 7 games. So 40 and 2/3 innings, giving up 36 hits. So yeah, I mean, he's had success against the Yankees, I would say. I would say that's successful, right?
It is successful, yes.
And then Cutter Crawford, I'm going to look him up right now.
We smoked him. I'm pretty sure the last time we faced him.
He's had some good games against the Yankees too, I think.
Yeah, at some point, but I'm pretty sure the last time we faced him, I think Garrett Cole took him deep, actually. Okay. And not Garrett Cole.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I know Garrett Cole didn't take him deep.
So career-wise, Cutter Crawford is really good against the Yankees. He's 4-1 with an ERA of 2.83, 44 strikeouts and 9 appearances. However, to your point, good memory, by the way, the last time the Yankees faced him, he gave up 5 runs. And I believe that was that was at Yankee Stadium. No, that was in Fenway.
Yeah, did he hit multiple home runs?
Isn't that funny? That was probably the game with Verdugo. That had to have been the game with Verdugo. I could tell you if that game. No, that was the 27th. That game, Soto hit a home run. Judge hit a home run in the first inning. And then that was also the game Oswaldo Cabrera hit the pesky pole home run that he had. I actually remember this. Okay. I mean, shocker. I remember a game that I watched. We've watched every game.
Yeah, we don't miss games. Not usually.
If we miss a game, we go back and watch it like that. I mean, that's what we do. So, yeah, I haven't missed any. Gleyber had a double in that one. Aaron Judge had a double. Trent Grisham had a double. So yeah, I mean, I think that was 11-8. That's right. Because Boston came flying back. That was a series the
I'm
Yankees
excited, by the
lost,
way, about
actually.
tomorrow, but aren't
No,
you
they
really
won.
penciling that Seattle series where the Yankees are undoubtedly facing a postseason rotation? Because
I
if you
got to
look
be
at the
honest with
numbers
you,
overall,
I'm not.
you're not looking forward to that series?
No, it's not that I'm not looking forward to it. It's that I want them to just take care of business. It should literally be, oh, it's right in front of us. Show us. Show us that.
Right. Yeah.
Take it one game at a time. Derek Jeter would not be looking forward to Seattle. He would not be talking about Seattle. He'd be focused on the Red Sox and Yankees.
That is
That's
true.
what he'd be focused on.
You're absolutely right.
And so to me, obviously from covering the NFL, I know this is how coaches are. They don't look ahead. Players might. That's up for the players to circle on their calendar. You know, they have the revenge games. They got, you know, sometimes incentive bonuses. Oh, right around week 16 is when I could get my incentive bonus kick in, you know, based on how well I do during the season. All that stuff. But the
Do you
job.
think Verdugo played because we played Boston today?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think that's the sole reason he played is because
they had to give him at least one game against Boston? Yes. That was my first thought.
That's such a bad reason to play.
You know, it's funny. You know what I think of? Again, another NFL analogy. I heard from somebody who told me this, and it always pisses fans off because you draft a player, fans fall in love with the player, and then you cut the player, right? Even if they're not great, they've never proven anything. The idea of cutting a guy who's homegrown, right, always sours people. Well, what I was told is basically, you know, you're a good football team when you start cutting 7th and 6th and 5th rounders. That's how deep your team is. You're willing to do the tough thing. It's not wasting draft capital because it doesn't matter who you drafted there. Your team is that good to the point where you were going to cut them anyway. So what I'm saying, the reason I'm bringing that analogy up is because with the MLB, it's the opposite. There's a completely different feel. There is favoritism. There is entitlement. There is just, it's just nonstop with that stuff. And so unfortunately, I would say Aaron Boone being buddy with everybody, I think that's what kicks in. I think he likes Verdugo. I think he wants to give Verdugo a run. I think Cashman's kind of left it up to, you know, Aaron Boone in that regard. I called up Dominguez. You figure out how you want to play them. Cashman doesn't feel like that interested in the whole Jasson Dominguez dynamic. I've said that before. And people have been like,
he hasn't won a World Series in 14 years. If Jasson Dominguez doesn't play like the version of Jasson Dominguez we've all projected, he's probably not going to win a World Series. If Jasson Dominguez has no impact in October, he doesn't have to be a superstar. I don't need Mickey Mantle. We're talking about a player who makes an impact at the bottom of the lineup. If he doesn't do that, and you're leaving the bottom of the lineup up to Rizzo, Volpe, and Verdugo, well, I'm here to tell you right now, the chances of the Yankees winning a World Series with a rotation I would consider good, not great, right? And no one, I feel, has a great rotation with a great offense heading in October. You're leaning on your 1 through 6 to power you through October. And who's to say that there's not other teams in baseball that I would rather have their 1 through 6 in the lineup, right? Who's to say that the Dodgers don't feel like, okay, if the Yankees want to play that game going good 1 through 6, we have a better 1 through 6. We may not have a good 7 through 9, but the Yankees need to separate themselves with some of the role players that they do develop. And I know Jasson Dominguez, we wouldn't necessarily consider him a role player because he projects into stardom, but into October this year, he's going to be hitting 7th. He is a role player.
Yeah.
That's just the situation, and he's got to make an impact. The best way to make him have an impact isn't to just say, hey, 21-year-old kid, we just come sit next to me. Why am I not playing today? Oh, it's actually because Alex Verdugo, a couple months ago, he plays really well against this Boston team. He's just really good. That just makes no sense to me. So I don't want to go off on like negativity with this whole Jasson Dominguez thing. I think a lot of us are confused. It needed to be. It is. You have to play your best players, especially when they're healthy. And Jasson Dominguez, given what he did in the minor leagues, he earned the right to play today. He just did. He's facing a righty. You don't trust him against lefties. We face a righty today. He should be playing. I think baseball sometimes should be more simple than what our staff makes it out to be. And unfortunately, this is why a lot of people wanted these guys dismissed in the first place. They overcomplicate the game of baseball, which is already complicated in itself.
Absolutely agree with that. Very well said. I don't Like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. Oh, yeah, we couldn't get him. You have to understand it from this perspective. If Jasson Dominguez isn't playing today, he's not playing at all. He's not helping at all. That means he's not in AAA getting reps. No, he's getting nothing. That's a day of no development. That's how I look at that. Not good. I agree. Invaluable experience is at the plate right here. And you're telling me that you're going to put Verdugo out there. You know who could actually go the rest of the month without hitting and be as good as he is right now? And that's not saying a ton, but he could. Alex Verdugo. You know who can't? Jasson Dominguez. Jasson Dominguez, because you took forever to call him up and you prioritized the future over the here and now with the one guaranteed year with Juan Soto, that we always keep hearing that. You prioritize the future, and because of that, now Jasson Dominguez might not even be ready for the postseason. And that's my issue. When I saw that today, I was just thinking, he's going to do this. This isn't the last time. He's telling us by doing this now, he's going to do it again and again. He'll probably do it 3 or 4 more times before the end of the year. And now, what does that leave you? 12, like 10 games. 11 games, 10 games? How is that a rev up process? The entire point of calling him up in September is to rev him up. The entire point of not calling him up September 1st, despite what they want to say, was to preserve his rookie of the year status. Well, it's preserved now. So for the love of God, he needs to be in the lineup every single day. I do not care. I don't care. I mean, especially after the at-bat he had yesterday, the last thing I'm doing is sitting him down because I feel like slowly but surely, as I've said on this channel before, he's getting things together. It's going to take him time to adjust to the speed. And this is, by the way, a user error. This is your fault, New York. This is your fault, Yankees, because you decided we're not going to call him up until September. That was ignoramus level. I mean, are you kidding me? So that's why he's in this position. That's why when people are like, I can't believe you're going crazy for a 148 hitter. He's played 3 games. Miss me with
148 hitter. That's a 148 hitter who, look what he did last year.
I know.
So, and I'm not here to harp on what he did last year, but look what he did this year in the minor leagues.
It's frustrating.
I mean, what are we talking about?
And let's obviously move over to some more, because I mean, we don't want to sit here and get, the Yankees are right now 2 games ahead of everyone in the AL East. At least everyone in the AL is what I mean. So,
okay.
So the Guardians are 4.5 games back from the top dog. The Yankees are 2.5. The Phillies, no one's talking about them. They've won 7 of their last 10. So
credit to you,
by the way.
Are back. Yeah, credit to you, because you didn't want to give up on them, which obviously I didn't either.
Yeah,
I mentioned their record since the break, and they weren't the healthiest team. But like we've always mentioned, a lot of these teams, when you have pedigree of having winners around, and I know it's hard to say Philadelphia is a group of winners, but it does take some aspect of winning to win a pennant, first of all, and then participate in the World Series. You do need to win something. The Yankees haven't even done that. And that, by the way, Jake, was our mini goal here. Like, trust me, our goal is not literally to be runners up this year, but if we made it to a World Series, we're probably not clamoring for Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone to lose their jobs. But if you show up in an ALDS and you fart down your leg, that can't happen. Not this year. No, there's no way. You didn't trade for Juan Soto so you guys could just participate in the ALDS after missing the playoffs last year. That's not only is it not a success, it is a colossal failure. It is. So where I'm at is that the Yankees, they have to make the right decisions and give themselves a chance to rev up the correct players on this roster, and not players like Alex Verdugo, who's not just playing poorly this last week or so. I don't give a rip how he's playing, if he's hitting 330 or if he's hitting 030. Over the last 2.5 months, he's been dismal. You need to pull the plug and give someone else an opportunity to hit the ground running for October. And by the way, just so we don't talk about something so negative for this long, can we please talk about something that you wanted to discuss desperately before the show started? Was Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver coming into this game and giving multiple innings, again, just complete dominance. And we actually talked about him specifically about a month ago, and we were talking about his command and the role that he was pitching in and how that role might be affecting him in a negative way. His role actually was backtracking as the season was going on, when Weaver was actually pitching very well from start to finish. And then all of a sudden, you're talking about a guy who, the better he pitches, the earlier you're bringing him out. All of a sudden, we're seeing Weaver in the 5th and 6th inning.
It was killing him.
Ridiculous. It was absolutely killing him. Now, I don't want to make total excuse for poor performance, but I will say this. Sometimes when you put guys in different roles, you get something else, right? You input something, you get a different output. Clay Holmes in the 9th inning usually is a disaster, right? Statistically. But then you mentioned analytically, you put Clay Holmes in the 8th inning, suddenly you get a better guy. Why is that?
Much better.
Above my pay grade. I'm just a podcaster, but the numbers suggest it. Weaver, on the other hand, they've extended his role. They put more on his plate. In the last 7 games, we're talking about a guy in 8 2/3. His whip is around 1. He's struck out 13. He's been dynamite. You want to talk about a closer and getting creative? Well, how creative is it when you see a guy dominate in this role? I feel like let's make this more simple than maybe the Yankees are going to want to make it. This is your guy, at least for now.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Gary. He is your guy. And, I don't think, I'm fine with him closing in the postseason. I like the idea of having a Nestor Cortez, a Clarke Schmidt, a Luis Heel available in the event they need them.
A Stroman.
No. Nope. I'm not out on Stroman. I'm just out on Stroman as a closer and being like a high leverage reliever.
Oh, a closer. I would probably crap my pants. No one thinks, a lot of people do hear that though, right? They hear Marcus Stroman is moving to the bullpen and they project that as, Stroman's going to come in.
That's why I said it the way I did. Because I was like, yes. I just want people to understand just because it goes back to my whole rant about how you have to prove you're a closer. Right. Everyone's a relief pitcher. And you like so that's the thing. I think today we saw Aaron Boone, nonchalant, very unorthodox, keeping him in for 2 innings, a very unorthodox way to get a save. But he sees him, trusts him as a 2-inning guy that can get a save. He is the closer by definition. He's the one that they trust. So we saw Tommy Kahnle, and he kind of didn't like that role. So, yeah, I absolutely like that they decided to go that route. Now, what I'll say is this, when it comes to, Luke Weaver, the bullpen, all of that, the thing that I'm really like, this is worse than Alex Verdugo, okay? Because Alex Verdugo has been hitting well at the very least, although today he didn't. Mark Leiter has to go. I can't stress that enough.
You don't like him very much, do you?
Well, you don't either. But what I want to say is,
throw me under the bus.
Well, you've said it on here. You're like, that dude. You're literally, right. He's throwing balloons. But
he doesn't pitch well in any situation now.
But here's the deal. Okay, Mark Leiter Jr. has to go because of the main reason, like saying, I don't like that Jasson Dominguez isn't getting reps. Because Alex Verdugo is getting reps over Jasson Dominguez. That's hurting his potential. That's hurting his rev-up process. Do you know whose rev-up process is getting hurt right now?
Who's that?
Clayton Beeter. Because a lot of people forgot about him, including us. We didn't even realize he'd be back this year. Well, guess what? The very, very quiet news that came out today, still today. We're going to call it today. It came out. Somerset to Scranton Wilkes-Barre, Clayton Beeter. That is the next step in the process. They're running out of days, though. Clayton Beeter came to the MLB against the Astros in the first game, and he threw 3 pitches and got 3 outs, and they literally were like, yeah, we're good. Never saw him again.
Do you think it's too late to implement Beeter into September baseball?
I don't, because he's been worked on as a starter, so I think he's got the stamina where you can bring him out there for an inning, and then the next game he could pitch another inning, and then the next game he could pitch another inning. So there are ways to kind of cheat the system because of that stamina that he's built up. My issue is that time is dwindling, Gary. It is September 14th going into it. Today was September 13th. So I do have concerns about that. And I just feel like keeping guys like Mark Leiter Jr. on the roster, the entire reason this guy's still there, I don't care what they say about his splitter. Great pitch, but he's a thrower of a baseball. He's not a pitcher. It's that simple. He's got stuff. He doesn't pitch well. Okay. He gets just absolutely drilled. So here's the issue with Mark Leiter Jr. I don't think it's baseball related why he's still on the roster. I think Cashman's ego is that big that he refuses to get rid of him because he does not want to admit that he had another bad deal. He doesn't want to admit Aniel De Los Santos, they didn't have a choice. They went up against the White Sox. He gave up 8 runs in front of the world, and everyone was calling him De Los Meatballs. So he's like, well, shit, I don't have a choice there. Mark Leiter Jr., you can cover it up because he gives up 2 runs, and then you just throw him in the trash, and you go and you get the other guy. And then you'll bring in Mark Leiter Jr. again, and he'll inevitably give up another run or 2. And then you're just like, okay, 8 runs against the White Sox, that creates too much. So he had to do that. But I'm telling you, Gary, I would put all my money on that. Not really, because that's a lot of money, but I'd put money on it that if this came out, Brian Cashman does not want to DFA Mark Leiter Jr. because of Brian Cashman. It has nothing to do with what he brings to the table. I don't even think he's going to be on the postseason roster. I think they're really just trying to save face. I don't think Boone cares. I think Brian Cashman cares. So end of the day, that's how I see it, Gary. I see a guy who's not contributing. He hasn't contributed. I don't know why he's on this roster. And well, I do, because I'm telling you, it is not baseball related. It's Brian Cashman's ego. It's no different than DJ LeMahieu, how long it took them. It's no different than Alex Verdugo. You just brought that up, the Alex Verdugo point. I think it's being applied here for Mark Leiter Jr.
Okay. I honestly, I like where your head's at with this. I think this is just poorly applied analytics. We've talked all day long about analytics. And the Yankees, and the Yankees have been a team that they've almost been petrified away from using analytics. A lot of people have said the Yankees are too far down the rabbit hole with analytics themselves. And it almost has made an enemy of analytics when in actuality, analytics can be your friend. It's a tool, right? And they're just numbers. It's not like analytics are the devil. No, it's the people who improperly use them, right? So
maybe they're not using analytics, but they're using AI.
Right. I view Leiter Jr. as a home run hitter, okay, that strikes out 250 times a year. I view him like a Joey Gallo, right? The attempt to bring him in. Leiter Jr. is on this team to strike guys out. That's actually exactly why he's on this team. And remember, before he was brought to this unit, the broadcast at Yes Network was saying the Yankees have a decent bullpen. I think a lot better than what people are giving them credit for. Remember how they pitched in the first half? Well, the one thing the Yankees are missing, and this broadcast said this, the ability to get a swing and miss. And I believe that Brian Cashman went out there and he is obsessing over the strikeout in this situation. Strikeouts are a good thing, but they're only really a good thing if it comes in context that you're getting key outs when they matter. Leiter Jr. is getting strikeouts. He's not failing to strike guys out. He's not. He struck 2 guys out today in an inning and a third. That's a good thing. But you know what's not a good thing? To give up 2 earned runs while you do that. So this is kind of like the situation where you'll watch a power hitter hit a 2-run home run in the first inning, and then he goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts the remainder of the game and can't get a run in from third base with less than 2 outs multiple times in the game. Now, a baseball fan would look at that and say, this is a failed day. This is a guy who can hit when nothing matters, and he just hit a random home run when no one's looking or paying attention. But when it actually matters and you need to get an out or you need to spray a ball into the outfield for a sac fly, that guy can't make the adjustment and get the job done. Leiter Jr. is exactly that. His execution is dismal. Absolute dog water, butt water. Horrible. And so when you watch this player, you're waiting. Okay, I see the strikeouts. Awesome. He's got the splitter. Great. That splitter it's phenomenal. That pitch is polished. It's everything you could want. But if you've got a really good splitter, this isn't Mariano Rivera's cutter where he's only throwing that pitch and getting success over and over again. No, he still has other pitches, and they just so happen to be getting hit. That's the reason why, Jake, when you have a pitcher who doesn't have his craft honed in, you are going to see strikeouts with good stuff, but you're going to make mistakes. And in the big leagues in September, with a team fighting for a wild card, you're going to give up hits and you're going to give up runs. So that's who Leiter Jr. is. He has no business on the postseason roster. I feel like the reason he's here, you believe he's here because of ego. I believe Brian Cashman is overly focused on the strikeout when that's what he was after. And he went bargain bin. He went into the bargain bin and tried to get something on the low. And I'm here to tell you right now, there's a reason you got him for what you got him for.
Yeah, and I would still say they gave up too much. And I mean, here's the thing. I tried to like Mark Leiter Jr. I got myself hyped for him, right? I was like, oh, he has a chance to be the closer. Remember we talked about that. And then we realized really quickly he gets just absolutely drilled. In 15 and 2/3, he's given up 23 hits, more than the strikeouts. He's good. So I'm just at the point, ERA is getting closer to 6. Batting average is 324 against him. Opponent on base percentage, 392. That's probably now 400 since it's not updated based on today. And he's got, so Gary, against him, 620 slugging. And that's going to go up based on today. Because this isn't, 100% updated. Right. Batting average, balls in play. Can you guess this?
I'm guessing we're looking at a nice little Tony Gwynn. Let's go 323.
Try higher.
Higher than 323? 345.
Try higher.
His opponent batting average on balls in play is
average balls in play. Yeah.
Yeah. Batting average when the ball is in play. 390?
Nope. Higher.
Oh, that's George Brett. I always go with 390. I don't know. All right. Well, let's go Ted Williams.
409.
Ted Williams.
So we got, everyone is Ted Williams when they put the ball in play against this guy.
It is and Ted Williams. Isn't that what he hit?
This is why I'm not crazy. I'm right. Okay. And I would admit, this is an opinion. No, I'm right. We know stats, Gary. I'm not going to complicate this shit. Are you kidding me right now? This guy's given up 5 home runs. 5. In 15. I'm just talking about what he's done with the Yankees. This is what he's done he has been awful with the Yankees. You mentioned Joey Gallo. Yeah, he's the Joey Gallo of pitching for the Yankees. That's what he is. But you know why? Because Enyel De Los Santos, no one thought he'd be good. No one.
No, actually, Padres fans were laughing at us because I didn't know what to expect. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea who he was. And that's okay. Some guys, we don't know who they are. And then we learn about him. But when we got him, Padres fans were actually laughing at us when that happened.
He was second in the league in home runs given up.
Which I had no idea.
I actually found that out and I almost hurled. I was nauseous because I'm thinking Chad Green, they're interested, Blake Snell, not Jack Leiter, Jack Flaherty, these names, not saying they go in the bullpen, but difference maker pitchers. I mean, Chad Green would have been a perfect fit. And I mean, the guy I really wanted was the guy who does the Kamehameha on the mound, at Esteves.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, everybody
wanted him too, but I mean, the Phillies doled out a lot of prospects for him. But anyway, my point is Mark Leiter Jr. is not good. I mean, that's literally it. He's not good. And Gary, just because he can strike guys out, I mean, this game is over if Aaron Judge doesn't come through here. Mark Leiter Jr. added 2 more runs to this total. I mean, they were down 4-1. Instead of this being a 2-1 ball game, he gives up a home run to Trevor Story. I mean,
Aaron Judge put on the cake today. We needed it bad.
I can count on my hand how many games Trevor Story has played this year. And he gave up a home run. I mean, that was his second home run of the year. No, that was his first home run of the year. First home run of the year. So, and I mean, I'm tired of him, man.
Yeah. So where are you tomorrow with Garrett Cole in terms of prediction? Because obviously this is a big start. There's no question about that, right?
I think we see what we keep seeing from Garrett Cole. I think he's in a rhythm, and I think he's in the zone, auto zone, and I'm not going to bet up against him. So I think Garrett Cole goes in there against Bello. I think Bello pitches really well. Unfortunately, I'm still concerned about the Yankees offense. I mean, this isn't sustainable. What we saw today, what we saw the last 3 games, it's not sustainable. We're hoping, but it's not sustainable to just at the end of the game, oh yeah, let's have this late rally. No, ideally you'd want to get some runs in the first inning, which is what has been their kind of bread and butter. And so I'm looking at this. Bello, Cole, I'd say Bello goes 6, gives up maybe 2. Okay. Cole goes 7 1/3, gives up 0.
Oh, wow.
So the Yankees are up 2-0.
Okay.
And then I think Clay Holmes comes in the 8th, dominates, and then I still, I know it sounds crazy, but I still think that they're going to bring in Luke Weaver. And I think Luke Weaver comes in, closes the door, and they win, I'll say a 3-1 ball game.
Okay. So, I mean, I think Garrett Cole's going to go 6. Mm-hmm. He'll give up 3, but I think the Yankees hit tomorrow. I do. Based on the way the Yankees have won this week, their offense hasn't come out to play at all. We've talked all day long about Judge and Soto and how
J-Dom is going yard tomorrow.
J-Dom. Okay. Well, I mean, I hope so. But we've talked about how Judge and Soto have kind of taken a step back. Maybe not this week, but maybe the last few weeks where you're like, okay, they're not just pulling this team along, right? They're not just putting the team on their back. Today, we got that. Now, tomorrow, I think the Yankees as a unit are finally going to put it together. That's just what I believe. I think it's about timing, and the Yankees really have to have it. Dominguez is going to play tomorrow. He just will. I think the Yankees are going to look good, and I mean, at some point, we're going to get something out of the bottom of the lineup. And
I'm going to have to bet on him to hit a home run.
Who, Dominguez?
Yeah, I bet on Aaron Judge to hit a home run today, and he did. I haven't bet on a home run all year, and I just had a feeling. I was like, you know what? Today's the day Aaron Judge is going to hit a home run. And he hit it at literally the most perfect opportunity, because I don't see the Chisholm at bat was tough. He got up 3-0, and then, it's 3-1, and then he gets a really, a solid pitch. I feel like he kind of has to swing at that, because then 3-2, it's like, so I understand.
Are you talking about Chisholm's fly ball to the track?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even hardly see it because of the angle that they gave us.
No, it was terrible. But that at bat, I don't like the one like Volpe back to back, like when he had 2 bases loaded opportunities and did nothing.
Yeah, you were pretty upset.
I was furious, because I mean, you got to come through in those opportunities, man. You have to. I mean, they don't have a choice. These are games that have to be won, and they have to be won through that. So anyway, wrapping up the show, I'm just going to say this. The Yankees have Boston the next 2 games. They go to Seattle. They are great. I mean, this year, I don't know where they are now, but they were great on that West road trip to start the year. Then they have Oakland. No excuse. No excuse. Those need to be 3 wins.
Yep.
You need to at least win one of the next 2 against Boston. You need to win the Seattle series. And then you have Baltimore, and you put yourself in a position there. Well, now the Baltimore series, you could clinch the AL East, depending on how well they play. And by the way, I want to point something out as well. Detroit, we kind of forgot about them. They're in the race. They have a shot. They're playing meaningful baseball. And guess what, Gary? They had a no-hitter today that was broken up, and they still got the win 1-0. They're playing the Orioles 2 more times. Then the Orioles have San Francisco. Okay, they'll probably win all 3 of those games, although they got Snell in the first game, so we'll see. But they got San Francisco, and then after that, they got Detroit again.
Detroit can pitch.
Detroit's entire existence is literally hinging on, can they beat the Orioles? So this is great news if you're a Yankee fan, because I hate to be the guy who's like rooting against teams to try to get into the playoffs. The Yankees aren't that. They are just right now, this season has been such a kind of back and forth. No one's been able to claim the AL East. Gary, right now, when you look at the wild card, okay, Detroit is 2.5 games out. People don't get it. Detroit is playing meaningful baseball right now. They're 76-72. They're actually ahead of Seattle. They're ahead of Seattle. They're ahead of the Red Sox. They're ahead of the Rays, the Rangers. They have a shot here to knock off the Twins and get into the wild card. So these games, The Yankees aren't just hoping the Tigers are going to win. The Tigers have to win those games if they want to make the playoffs. That's a really good thing to have because now you have 2 series with the San Francisco series in the middle. The Tigers could be an absolute weapon for the Yankees, if you're being honest. I mean, if they just, roll over Baltimore and the Yankees take care of business, this thing could be over before they play the Orioles.
Which would be good, but I'm gonna say this, Jake. I don't really give a rip what Baltimore does, because if you really look at this, if we told you guys with 14 games left in us, if we told you guys a Derek Jeter led team was up 3 games in the division with 14 games left in the season, and they lost the division, who would you be blaming? Would you blame Detroit for not taking care of business in the middle
absolutely
of the
not.
right?
No.
And which is not what you're doing. But I'm not even really, I think Detroit winning those games is just seen merely as a bonus. That's the way I see it. If the Yankees take care of business against all these other opponents, against Oakland, right? Against Seattle, if they do that, Baltimore doesn't stand a chance. They haven't got on a win streak since Vietnam. They're 4-6 their last 10 games. They've lost 2 games in a row. Baltimore's not going to win 6 games in a row at any point the remainder of the season. So you know what that tells me, Jake? That tells me the Yankees can go out there and play good baseball. Baltimore doesn't stand a chance anyway. So if you go out there and you allow Seattle to shut you down, you lose 2 of 3, right? You go out here and you don't take care of business. Garrett Cole doesn't pitch well tomorrow against Boston. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but if those things happen, are we really going to say, man, it sucks that Detroit didn't go play better against Baltimore and help us out? No, it's on us. These starts from Garrett Cole, this start we see tomorrow from Garrett Cole, it's his job to shut it down. Now's the time when an ace comes out and he's the ace. It's September now. There are no more excuses. There are no more, let's see if their schedule can help us. I get it. It's still a factor, and it's a good to mention it, but this is the New York Yankees. If you want to go win a World Series, I don't really think we should be looking at the Detroit Tigers, who are after a wild card, in hopes that they're going to help us against the Baltimore Orioles. I think our sight should be set higher. I do.
No, I agree, but it's cool.
It is very cool. It is very cool because Detroit can spin it. They can shut down Baltimore. They can.
Yeah, and I didn't think Detroit was going to be that good. Like, I didn't think they'd still be fighting at this point in the season. When I was looking at both schedules, I was like, yeah, I mean, obviously the A's aren't going to be, a problem for the Yankees or whatever as far as like trying to play for something. Although, fun fact, they're still not eliminated. They're 13 and a half games out, so they're going to be eliminated very soon. But
very soon,
the White Sox are 45 and a half games back. Maybe they got shot.
A lot of ball game left.
Negative 313 point differential is wild. Run differential, wild. That's got to be an all-time record. But
it probably is. I think the Spiders probably got it in like 1900.
So to wrap up the show here, Gary said groovy. So I am going to basically channel my inner Ash Williams and go with Evil Dead. That's what he says. That's his thing.
Okay.
Groovy. So
Evil Dead in the comment section.
Yep. Evil Dead. It's a good move. I like it. I like Evil Dead 2, and I still haven't seen Ash Williams in the Evil Dead. That was on HBO. Still need to watch that, but I know our audience, Gary. I know there are going to be people that like Evil Dead in the comment section. So put that in the comment section if you made it to this point. Hopefully enough of you get to watch it. We got recording pretty late. We're finishing this pretty late. The game is in 7 hours. So
we'll see. Kidding, the live killed our algorithm. So we'll go. We're on the steady incline again. So we'll see how it goes.
Yes, we should also bring that up. There's not going to be any live streams anytime soon because we basically found out that YouTube punished us for going live. That's why like our viewership is way down. You guys are still watching it at an incredible pace. I mean, we saw
actually at a better pace.
Yeah, I saw that. The click-through rate's great, but click-through rate can be great, but if it's not being shown to other people, we don't grow the channel. So that's annoying, but we're just trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, we kind of came to the idea that, yeah, it's kind of telling us straight up, if you go live, you're going to have a drop off for whatever reason. You get throttled in viewership. So don't want to do that. Maybe we'll
working on
revisit next year. We'll probably revisit it next year, but I don't think we can afford to not have viewership going into the postseason. So that's kind of where it stands.
Yeah. So Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Yeah. And like this video.